Okay, so we're talking about the midpoint, and we're going to be looking first at the midpoint on a number line. And to find the midpoint on a number line, all we will be doing, we'll label it M for midpoint. We just take our two coordinates, A and B, and we divide by 2. Basically, we're just finding the middle of our 2 points. So our example is going to be if we have AB, and we need the points A. The coordinate of A is -5. The coordinate of B is 3. So what I'm looking at is I'm on a number line, and I'm at -5 and +3. The midpoint, M, is going to be -5 plus 3 divided by 2. So the midpoint, the middle, is going to be at -1. That's where M is going to be. So that's if we just have, we're working on a number line. Now, if we're working in a coordinate plane, which is the XY plane here that we used in Algebra 1, we've got our points that are labeled X, Y. So finding the midpoint of the of some points on a coordinate plane, we take M, and we're going to have 2 points, X1, Y1, and X2, Y2. That just means first X, second X, first Y, second Y. We're going to take X1, add it to X2, divided by 2, and Y1, Y2, add them together, divide by 2. So this is what we'll be using right here. This is the big one, because we kind of did this in our first couple sections. So this is our takeaway. So we're going to use that in our next example. So finding the midpoint, we take X1 plus X2, divide by 2, Y1 plus Y2, divide by 2. So we're taking our X's, adding, dividing by 2, Y's, adding. So we need to find the midpoint of EF. EF has this bar over it, and it's X1, Y1. We'll label them X2, Y2. So first X is -3, second X is 5, first Y is 4, second Y is 6. So to find the midpoint, I'm going to take my first X, -3, plus my second X, 5, divided by 2, and Y1 is 4, plus Y2, divide by 2. So that's if they're straight asking for the midpoint. They give us these endpoints, E and F, and we just need to find the midpoint. So I'll get 2 over 2, and 4 over 6 will give me 10, 4 plus 6 will give me 10 over 2. So the midpoint is going to be 1, 5. Okay. Now the other type of problem you'll see is you're given the midpoint, so you have the midpoint and you need to find the other endpoint. So if I look at it, let's say I've got points here, I've got CD, and they give me the midpoint. So now that's what we're going to look at here. So we kind of place it the way that it's drawn here. So I have the midpoint of CD is M, and I know one of the endpoints, C. So find the coordinate of point D. So I got to look. If I were to draw this as a segment here, I'd have point C, point D, and somewhere in the middle, the midpoint. So point C is -5, 7. Midpoint is something else, -2, 1. But I'm missing the endpoint D. So now I'm going to look at, because it's the midpoint, I'm traveling the same distance every time to find my x. And I'm doing the same thing for my y. So to get from 7 to 1, I do one thing, and then to go from 1 to the y coordinate, I do the same thing. So I got to find the distance I'm traveling here. So from -5 to -2, what I did was add 3. So I'm going to have to travel the same distance from my middle to get to this. So I add 3. And so -2 plus 3 will give me a +1. Now I'm going to look at from y to the other y. 7 to 1, I subtracted 6. So that means I'm going to take away 6 again. So 1 minus 6 gives me -5. So the coordinate for D is 1, -5. So you've got to find the distance you're traveling from your C to your midpoint, and then you're using that same pattern, because it should be the halfway point, to get from M to D.